Hey guys, hi again. Hope you enjoyed the top 16 of Jameer tonight. So, following some feedback on Reddit, here is the short version of the Galactic Duel PvP high rank tier list for November 2020. So we will not go into metagame or team composition. We will just look at one by one the characters and their ranks. So again, this is intended for Diamond and above Galactic Duel. So let's just start. So the strongest character above everyone else is Thanatos. So he's the character being able to pull most damage across all the existing characters and can fit in practically every team, including the Hades Repair Cloth team with Sea Dragon. So he's an absolute beast. He's by far one of the most banned characters in Galactic Duel. So he's definitely one notch above everyone else. So just below Thanatos, we have Hades, in its Repair Cloth version, of course, who is an incredibly strong and robust character. And of course, we see him mostly in the Sea Dragon Canon team. But the reality is he's also a very flexible character who can fit with so many other teams and always provide very significant survivability to the team and be able to create a lot of problems to the enemy team because of the max HP reduction and of the very significant damage. So after Hades, Gemini Cannon, who is not only a very strong damage dealer, but in the teams that are currently dominating in the Galactic Duel metagame, Gemini Cannon's function is now mainly a support function to provide the 3 energies in the first turn. And then as the game evolves, Gemini Cannon is able also to do very significant damage. So definitely S level in this list. The third character, who is also included here at S level, he's probably not exactly the same level of Hades and Gemini Cannon. He's probably slightly below, but he's still above the rest of the characters. So he's included here with Hades and Gemini Cannon. And he's Ophiuchus. So Ophiuchus is an incredibly versatile character who not only can generate extreme amount of healing and can of course resurrect members of your team, but he can also make an extreme amount of damage thanks to ricochet and shock. So many of the sales right now play Two-Horned Snake, and they can make a massive difference. They can completely flip the games. So then after these 3, we can go one rank below. So it is rank A, but again, is not meant to represent anything rather than the relative strength of the characters, right? So this just indicates that all the characters in this list are somewhat below the characters above. So in this A set of 8 characters, the first 3 are the key components of the Sea Dragon Canon Hades Repair Cloth team. So of course the main function of that team, the main combo, is to exile someone with Sea Dragon Cannon and then do a lot of damage with Mew, and then also with the Hades Eclipse on the third turn. So that team is one of the most competitive and most seen in the current metagame. So all 3 characters part of that team are here. Of course, Underworld Shun in particular, and also Mewtwo for certain levels, can be used in other teams, but this is by far where we see them most of the time. Then we have another pair of characters which we very frequently see together, and we're talking about Hypnos and June. So they are very significant in improving the survivability of your team, and we've seen that very rarely Hypnos is now played with Two-Horned Snake. We see him much more frequently with either Decelerator or with Laurel Tree to provide that increased healing, which is very important to maintain the team alive. So why is Hypnos one level below? Because as we said, he's no longer really used for damage dealing, and unfortunately is countered pretty badly by Thanatos, because every time damage or healing for Hypnos sticks, Thanatos anger is increased. And the other reason is that, of course, Hypnos is also countered by Lune, so he's no longer at the same level as Hades, Gemini Cannon, or even Ophiuchus. So after Hypnos and June, we then have Geki. So Geki is very likely the strongest controller of the game right now, together with Sea Dragon Cannon, because Geki is a one energy control every turn. He can also control with 0 energy, and for example, the stun is a great counter for Rayashiki Shaka, for example. So Geki with 1 mana every turn is practically certain to stun, and is also a great carrier, for example, for Marsh Fairy, and because he's quite slow, he's also able to effectively go around Lune. So usually Geki will act after Lune, so for example we'll be able to stun Aphrodite or characters acting before Lune. So he's definitely one of the strongest controls right now, together with Gemini Cannon. Arayashiki Shaka, again, a great character, so he does need fairly high skill levels, but he's definitely playable right now, and one of the best teams where he fits is probably the one also with the Sea Dragon Cannon, but he can fit well also in other team compositions with other characters. He does tend to synergize very well with Lune, for example. The only why is he not a top DPS, because he does need the debuffs to be provided. So for example, against the Hades Repaired Cloth team, he might struggle because there might not be many debuffs being given by that team, so he will not be able to pull significant damage in those instances. After Arayashiki Shaka, this is Shun. He's very significant in teams without June, and is, for example, a very good option to play together with Arayashiki Shaka, because of how likely Arayashiki Shaka is to trigger Thanatos AoE. So this Shun is able to counter, protect Arayashiki Shaka from all that damage, and then release it in the next turn. So he's very, very valid, and can be also can create a lot of problems in combination with Ophiuchus when playing against the Sea Dragon Cannon Hades Repair Cloth team. The final character on the third level of the list is then Aphrodite. So he's a very good damage dealer. However, he's of course affected by the likes of Geki. He's countered also pretty well by Ophiuchus with Ricochet, for example. He's effectively very weak to certain of the most common teams right now, but he's still one of the top damage dealers. So after these, we have characters who are not seen very frequently, because of course in Galactic Duel you can only use 6 characters. So assuming you have one character band, so effectively you're looking at 7 characters that potentially can fit your team. So what we see here are other characters not played that frequently, can replace some of the characters in the first 3 levels, but they will usually be less good than those. So Athena again can be used to replace Gemini Cannon when Gemini Cannon is banned. However, it's less reliable. For example, it does not allow that extra 1 energy in the first turn, unless of course you're lucky with the attacks from the enemy team. And so unless you're sure that the enemy is playing Hypnos in a certain way, or certain other characters giving AoE attacks, the energy provided by Athena is unreliable. And also, as the game progresses, Gemini Cannon is able to pull significantly higher numbers of damage respect to Athena. Lune is also a very good character, but given the limited number of characters that use in Galactic Duel, is not played that often. The same for DC Shiryu and Mu. Again, they are seen very rarely, so they can work in teams who do not have controls, but again, there are probably better characters you can use in the place of these two. The same is true for Golden Yoga, because of course Golden Yoga can work in the Sea Dragon Canon Hades team, but he's not very useful in the mirror match, and the reality is there are better characters you can use in that team. Minos again can be a great character against the Hades Sea Dragon Canon team. The problem is that with a simple Aphrodite's Veil, then Minos can be effectively countered even by that team. And again, Minos can be good in other instances, but he's the fact that he costs 2 energies makes him slightly worse than Geki, because of course Geki can also easily end the crowd control from Minos, and also a faster Geki can, for example, control a slower Geki, whereas Minos cannot control an enemy Minos, for example. So that's why he's a good character, very useful against certain teams, but possibly 1 notch below what we saw above. The Grand Pope is also at this level, because he's seen sometimes, and the Grand Pope is a very fast Grand Pope, so able to cast another dimension very soon in round 1. Is the character who is able to effectively flip certain games where your opponent has much higher stats and skill levels for his saints. So the Pope can clearly mess up very badly the opponent and resolve games that would be desperate otherwise. So finally, in this 5th level, we have characters that again are seen rarely and are probably not really performing the best right now. So again, we have Guilty, Shaka Repaired Cloth, Saori, Ichi, and Evil Saga. This is true when played, for example, with Minos. And then we also have Siren Surrender Repaired Cloth and Garuda Yakos. People will wonder why Garuda Yakos is only a C, and the reason is that unfortunately he does not perform that well. So he's a one energy control on the first turn, but then either you take another slot to play Underworld Shun, And of course, it forces you to use Underworld Shun on Garuda rather than, for example, other characters. Or effectively, you can only use a control once every 2 turns. So if the primary function of that slot in your team composition is to reliably control the opponent, having something that doesn't work every turn is just not good enough. And at the same time, having to take another slot just to enable Garuda to use his control every turn is again something that is unfortunately not good enough for a Galactic duel when you can only use 6 Saints. So I hope you enjoyed the short version of the list, and please do subscribe to the channel, do like the video, and leave comments and suggestions, and I will definitely take those into account for next video. Thanks again.